Okay, Francine is having a rough day. Francine, and yeah, I mean, it's not a laughing matter by any means, but
No,
we've been talking about this probably for, me and you have been talking about it since 2006.
no,
So,
we didn't know each other in 2006.
well,
16,
2006. Oh, no,
Adam
you're
1 to
right.
that
You're right.
6.
You're right. But I don't know why I do that, Francine.
It's okay. A lot of people do. I got you back.
No,
Okay,
I mess up 2006 and 16 all the time.
really.
Yes, I do it all the
Uh,
time. My girlfriend gets so pissed at me. She's always like, "There's no way that was that." I was like, "Wait, let me think for a second." And I go back and I look at files, and I'm like, "Okay, it was that day."
all right.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So it's really not a rough day.
Hmm.
It was a rough, intense moment of just seeing some more information about all of the, the ugly, green-eyed, yucky monster that makes our skin crawl. That a lot of us, including myself, just want to look the other way because it seems like it's so horrific. Especially those of us that are Philly people, right? And it's the human trafficking. You
Oh
know
yeah. Well,
what's going on,
well, it's been going on. It's been
right?
going on for. I mean, I
For
remember
a long time,
the
longer
first.
than we would
Yeah, it's been
than we can even
years,
imagine.
years.
Yeah,
Like since the '60s, I would say that it's been going on. Probably since, people like to glorify Woodstock, but I would say that's probably where some of the first ideas for trafficking began. Um,
who knows? I do have a person, a friend, someone I know that's a mastermind of mine who's an advocate for this and has gone to Washington recently. I don't know her age for sure, but I would say that she's probably around my age, around 50, and she was a victim. Okay,
yeah,
so that tells you how long ago,
yeah,
and it may have gone even beyond, longer than that.
yeah. And the worst that I've ever heard is that there are parents, predominantly in the Hollywood realm, and I guess the New York realm. But
Uh-huh.
basically, you're the people who really want to be somebody.
Uh-huh.
These people, they will literally like sell their kids for the
Uh,
ability to be somebody. Like that's where I think that it gets a little weird. You know.
well, that's really being detached
Oh yeah, big time.
from
I've actually
from
spoken
your
to quite
soul.
a few of the victims, and they've told me some of the things they've dealt with, like being put up in places like you don't know where you are, and like on a strange sense, it's not just in the physical sense, it's in the mental sense as well, in the dream state. So
Uh-huh.
that's when it gets really strange because people don't think that that can happen, and apparently they can do it. Astral travel is a big deal. Everybody wants to do that today, but there is a negativity to it, and if they feel like they're connected to a person or they have the ability to mess with a person, they do. So
Uh-huh.
it's just that's a little going down deep the rabbit hole, but that's how bad it is. Like that's how far it can go. Like people just don't. They think that's impossible. You know.
So, yeah, I guess it's in front of me a lot because of probably a lot of connections that I have, and like globally in the coaching community and the speaking community, a lot of people are advocates. I belong to a few different masterminds.
Well, let
I'm
me.
in the Tony Robbins community, who he's a big advocate right now for, and he's in it pretty deep. I believe he's got videos on it. So I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it come across quite a bit. I have friends that are kind of diving into it, sharing some information you have shared,
Yeah.
since 2016. And because it's so hard to wrap the mind around it when you're so far from it, your mind wants to call bullshit or just say, oh, there's, maybe a few kids it happens to, and they have, you
Well,
know, it's unfortunate,
Well,
but not knowing how bad it is.
and the thing about it is a lot of these kids that are hypnotized in the sense that you don't remember anything that we do to you, things like that. Like in that sense, I mean that happens as well, and that's where it gets very strange because as a young child, you don't remember everything and you don't really know what happened, but you know something did happen, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you know, I mean, I went through it myself. I went through those problems myself. I mean, like wondering, certain things and having to figure them out. Like I was some kind of detective at the age of 8 years old. And
mhm,
I learned a lot then. And I
yeah,
still didn't know everything. I mean, I didn't find out everything about my abuse until I was 33. So,
mm,
and that, when I started learning that and doing regressions, that's whenever I started learning what really was going on. And
mm,
that's how I found out about how powerful regressions were. So,
mm.
because I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And
The
there was nothing
brain
that could
will.
have prepared me for that.
No, it's difficult, and so there's a part of our brain that hides that from us because it's too traumatic.
Well, and there's also, when they talk about handlers and they talk about, people that are put in place that are close to you, that when you start talking about something strange, you're probably the person they're going to talk to so they can shut it down from you, from putting it out there. And
Uh-huh.
that's another aspect of this, and I think that's why so many people didn't come out because they were trying mentally, but they couldn't physically say the words because of hypnosis, and they talk about MK Ultra, but it's really hypnosis. It's
Well,
really
and then there's so much shame attached to it, and who's going to believe me? So it's a
yeah,
lot of that. Probably similar to what victims of rape go through,
it's
or
probably exactly
being
what they. It's probably
or
exactly what
sexually
they go
abused kids.
through. Yeah.
Who I don't have a voice. I don't even know. Like I don't know anybody this happened to. Like
Well,
yeah, and then they block it.
there was something that you told me one time about having a dream where you escaped your body,
Hmm.
and because
Yeah,
something traumatized happened to you, and that's exactly what happens to these victims. That's
yeah,
exactly what happens to the T. Like
yeah,
when you told me that, I was like, wow. I wonder if that was regression because like literally that's exactly what happens to these victims. Exactly. And it happens to them at a
yes.
young age because they want that to happen to those children because they want them to not scream and do those things. They want them to be in a different place.
Well,
And
and
it's like the pain is so bad that
yeah.
let it go somewhere completely different. That way,
Well,
it's not something that they're experiencing, and I get to enjoy myself. It's all selfishness.
right, and it's all selfishness. Kids are easier to influence and manipulate,
Yeah.
and to put fear in because
Yeah.
they don't have the tools yet to navigate.
Well, and some of
Um,
them think that it's what's supposed to happen until they start going to
uh-huh.
school with other kids, So that's the problem right now. I think we're having with homeschooling. Like you don't know if someone is abusive at a homeschool situation, that person won't know what's normal until they're much older.
I yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
it's true. We homeschooled my youngest son when he was in high school. So he had some social outlets, and
Yeah.
there's some social things that maybe lack a little, but he'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But academically, he thrived, and I used to think if I'm too old to have kids, but who knows? But I wouldn't have kids right now if it was my choice. But I would say a year ago, I said, wow, if I was just starting out with a family and I had kids, I would probably homeschool my kids based on all the bullying
I
and
got to
all of
be
that
honest with
stuff.
you. I would.
But now,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, because there's no reference. All just,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
and look,
It's really,
I want to clarify this phrase. I mean, I'm not telling anybody how to raise their kids personally. I'm not. I'm just saying,
mm-hmm,
everyone has a situation that they have to deal with money, everything. You know how to raise your kids. I'm not telling anybody that at all. I'm just saying that you have to look at all the angles and you have to make sure you're talking to your kids. We talked about that last night.
yeah,
In reference to, your child started playing with an iPad 10 years ago and your child is now in the streets protesting. you know, thinking that they have to follow everybody in the crowd, and that's the thing that are they able to stand on their own and 2 feet and not follow their friends? That's the
Okay.
question, you have to ask everyone. And if someone does
Right.
throw a bottle or a sledgehammer, are they
Right.
going to go home and just talk about how cool it was? Or are they going to go home and talk about how bad it was and that's it? Or are they going to turn the person in? That's really the
Yeah.
thing that we have to look at. I mean,
So
because
yeah.
realistically, the iPad raised their child because they thought it was a babysitter, half of them.
Yeah. I mean, my kids are older, so we didn't have that.
Yeah, no,
It was like,
but
oh, go watch Barney. But yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
totally
Barney.
different.
I mean, everybody's got their own weird shit. Now we're finding out all this crazy stuff with Disney. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got crazy stuff going on. You've got Justin Bieber now talking about he had a baby with Demi Lovato or something, and now that apparently they killed his first child or something. I mean, you've got all kind of crazy stuff going on with these Disney people that raised your kids, and what was going on in their lives at that time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a whole nother world of what we're talking about. I mean,
Well, yeah,
I know
definitely.
people, if they don't go to Disney, you'd have swore that was the worst year of their life for the year. I mean, Disney is not that great. It's not. It's a
Yeah.
facade.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the real world at all. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
in a way, for some people in the worst places of the world, COVID's probably better than normal to them.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is what they're saying. Because the numbers are up right now, with child sex trafficking with children,
yeah,
because they're saying, they're not in school, they're not involved in different programs, they're not in sports, they're not at daycare, so they're at home on a laptop, on their phones, and the predators have set traps because they're also not at work. So they're loving this free time. This is just a video, and it seems, it
yeah,
seems like it makes sense to me that they're using gaming and they're using Facebook in a lot of different ways to grab them,
yeah.
to get to them. So that's, as a parent of a young child, my kids are older. My youngest is 18. He's a 6'2", built, so I don't have to worry about that. But if, my
I
gosh,
would
if
say I'd
I was
wait until they're 20.
yeah, you never know, right? So,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
because you never know, man. You really
yeah,
don't. You don't.
you really don't, and it's really good to speak to them about these things and to be aware and to monitor,
Yeah,
because you have to keep your kids safe. So
it's
I'm
true.
not
Because
saying be
look at the
so fearful
women,
in life, but be mindful, huh?
I know how many little girls are on Instagram trying to make everybody like them. I mean that.
Yeah,
Instagram's the new
yeah,
strip club, as far as I'm
it
concerned.
it
Like,
it is. It's
like
whew,
it's true. I
it
mean,
is.
I just don't even understand. When I see that, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
Like there's no
yeah,
value in people anymore. It's all look at
yeah,
me. So
yeah,
it's a weird world we're living in right now, and I think that the more people hear it, it's better because it's kind of like let's follow the leader. If more people are saying that this is not a good thing, then more people will not do it because apparently they want to follow something. They want guidance. And I think that's why people do like Trump because there wasn't any guidance. You know, yeah, Obama was a female as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there really was never a masculine role in the White House for a long time. I mean, and that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a lot of people that really have issues with the masculine role of life. That's what I see.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. We need both masculine and feminine, right? And it's got to be a polarity of 50-50. So we
Yeah.
need masculine structure. Absolutely.
Which proves
We
that
need it. It plays a role. It plays an important role.
you had
And
8
so
years
does the
of Mao.
feminine.
Now you're gonna have 8 years of daddy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to
Okay.
put it like that, but it's true.
Okay.
So,
Let's get back to the
all right.
kids.
I'm just joking, but
I
I'm
know.
just
I hear you
saying.
though.
All I'm saying is this: there has to be a balance. There really does, and I think that that's why we're dealing with problems. I mean, a lot of people don't even know how to be a man because there wasn't a man to show them that.
Well,
So,
no, and so exactly. So 2,000 years ago, whatever, when
yeah.
Christ came, Jesus, there needed to be structure, right? Everything was out of order. So that's how I see it anyway. And so it got more about, and now it's so out of whack that a lot of old structures are going to start to fall. And I think that's what's going on. That's, part of the awakening that we're seeing, or whatever you want to call it. The Our eyes are like opening up to what's going on. We're getting closer to who we are and removing that ego structure. But yeah, it's
I agree with removing
yeah,
the ego structure completely.
yes,
And
yeah.
if you haven't, or if it comes back, you need to work on yourself to try to remove it, because I mean that's really a big.
Not many people do it, Kev. Not many people have the courage to do it. So
Not many
if
people
you
know
are
how,
working,
Francine.
no, they don't. You're right.
I mean,
They don't know how. Most people don't, and they're not willing to dive into it because it's not in front of them.
yeah.
So if you are a brave soul that's diving into your personal development, your spiritual development, whatever you want to call it, Patches, bravo for you, bravo.
Well, I mean, and if you feel like you're upset with the world, Francine, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you just need to ground more, because the thing about it that I'm learning, even, as much as I hate to learn, I'm just joking. The thing that I learn all the time is that we are not here to fix people.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
supposed to guide people to want to fix themselves. And if they don't want to do that yet, that's up to them too. And
Love it.
I say that
Absolutely.
because, even issues I see with people that I talk to, and even in their 60s and 70s, I mean, everyone has problems. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. And I think that when we get to the point where we think we are, that's when we really think we probably should start working on our ego, because we don't have a perfect life, no matter who we are, no matter what Facebook says, and no matter what Instagram says,
Yeah.
no matter what,
Yeah.
we don't have a perfect life. You know, Chrissy Teigen tried to make everybody believe that for years, and all of a sudden, look what happened in the last 2 months. So, and that's the thing, like, glorifying all these things that you think are going to make you popular or shocking world to get people to follow you to see what you're going to say next. You need to watch what you wish for, because it's going to take place. Then some people can't handle it, or how you handle it is probably a better way of putting it.
Yep. That could be a whole nother. Oh, I could dive so deep into that subject. Absolutely. But yeah, to just kind of circle back to
Trafficking is
a
bad.
topic.
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere.
Trafficking.
And if you see something, turn it in. Don't
Mm-hmm.
even, don't be superhero and jump out with a gun and all this stuff. I mean, call a cop, follow a person maybe from a distance, maybe call someone else, see if they can help you. But I think, that's why, defunding the police, I could tell you this: defund the police to me is a red flag for people who are trafficking. That's what I call it. That's what I would call it. If you want to know where people are trafficking, their mayors are screaming, defund the police.
So yeah, and so another thing is, we're raising a lot of noise about all this COVID stuff, and I don't want to make light of it, but, there's not a lot of people that are dying. I do have a loved one that tested positive. So, whatever your belief on that is, I'm not making light of it. Okay, we all have different beliefs. It's turned political, which is crazy, but that's what I'm saying is we're making noise about that all over the media. Okay, there's not a lot of noise about this. yet more kids are affected.
Well, they're affected every day, and you know, the thing about it is, if you see something and you feel like you can't handle it, you really need to just, you know, focus on yourself, pray, and hope somebody finds them, because that's the best thing you can do. That's the best thing you can do.
Well,
Because if not, you're gonna wind up in trouble.
yeah,
Because the
it's
people that
just,
are doing this, if they're doing that to children, they don't have a problem hurting you.
yeah,
Trust me. So
yeah,
find somebody that can help you instead of trying to do it yourself too. I hate saying that, but it's true. People think, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fix this, and they try to get into it. Next thing you know, they're in a cage. So, you know, that's the thing. I think that you need to think about that. You know, if they're gonna hurt a child or do something to a child, they're gonna be perfectly happy doing something to you. So find someone, an authority that can help in the right way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, a friend just, I don't know why I'm not even thinking of this, but you can donate. There's different organizations. Do your research, make sure that it's legit. But by donating money, sets a girl free, sets a boy free. So there's different organizations. Somebody just put something on my post that I shared. So that's one way to help. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that. I think I was just so like, oh my God, like, you know, this is really something.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel helpless because you want to go save these kids. And like, again, it's not a pretty subject, and a lot of us want to just shove it and pretend that it doesn't exist. So keep doing what you're doing, my friend.
And
Thank you for always being an ear for me, and a sounding board, and sticking up for humanity.
Well, I mean, it's kind of fun, but
Yeah.
I wish we didn't have to do it, you know, because,
Right.
you know, we all still have jobs to do as well. So, but no,
Yes.
I understand. I do, you know, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's a lot of people dealing with this that haven't wanted to hear it for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, even in their own
Mm-hmm.
families. They're like,
Yeah.
I wonder if this is true, what they were saying about this person. And a lot of people, you know, back in the 80s, you know, their husbands were doing it to their kids, and the mamas didn't want to admit it because they were like, what's going to happen to me? I find that it's always a selfish reason why not to stop it.
It's fear. It's fear. It all comes down to fear.
And right now it's COVID fear. You know, it's all that same old shit, but it's the truth. It is. It's you've got to understand that you know, if you're put in a place, then that choice is up to you to stop it or move forward. But you have to think safety as well,
Yeah.
for you and the children. Don't just be Superman. You know, so it's true. Because once they go there, trust me, it's hard to wonder what they're going to do to you to stop them. Because if that's their drug,
just donate. Go and donate. A lot of us won't see this in our lifetime.
I'm saying if it's part of if it's in your family. I mean, some
It's
people
in
are
your
dealing with this
family.
in their own personal family. So, we'll wrap it up with that, Francine. But good talking to you.
Yes. Good talking to you.
One day we'll talk about some real entities, because that's really what all this is about.
Yeah.
So